after the Chaff Deck so that it's back on the low pressure return back to the tank. Because if you pressurise this case drain, we've had trouble where we stretched these belts to try and drive the pump, and in fact this pump did break a shaft, and a couple of our header and another one we're working with did the same. Once we teed, because we had this case drain, still teed in back in here in the original factory position. Once we took it from there, put it after the Chaff Decks, just back on the low pressure return, it was fine, and it's worked all of last year and this year like that. Our new header, the 680 this year, has been plumbed in like this after the Chaff Decks on the return line, and it's working fine, so don't pressurise that. So normally you're so then you just tee your Chaff Decks in here. That's on the return after the spinners. And that just comes through to the flow control block here that comes in the kit with the Chaff Decks. So that's just your flow in, coming from the spinners. You then got to here, you've got your controlled flow, which is coming out and going down to the Chaff Decks. Does both Chaff Decks, and then the return line is coming back into here, loops around. There's also a case drain, a small case drain, which is part of the kit from the Chaff Decks. It's looped back into that return, through the filter, and then it just goes back up to the low pressure return into the tank, and that's where that case drain is teed in as well. It's just teed in there. Low pressure case drain back up into the tank. So.
You're mentioning that you're having issues with leakage?
Seem to be having trouble. This one has leaked since new. It's got a new filter on it and it still leaks, and the other one we set up this year leaks as well. We don't know why, but it just seems to be leaking around the seal on that hydraulic filter on the block for some reason.
Okay. Tell us about the baffle. What's your thinking on that?
The baffle, this one worked well, never blocked up in any conditions last year. This has got the big curved front edge on the baffle. We like it, they seem to work, we don't have trouble, especially if you've got this premium package spreader, you've got the second discharge beater, all the material coming off the rotor, through the discharge beater, over the top of the second discharge beater, just keeps it up there and down into the choppers, and that nice curved leading edge on this baffle. Just see that leading edge of it there, and you can see that baffle. Anything that comes off the sieves that might be up in the airstream and hits it will just nicely fall down below it onto the Chaff Decks. Everything above it's above that second discharge beater, and just goes down into the chopper, no worries. So never had any issues with blockages or problems. Or
anything in terms of setup you've changed when you put the Chaff Decks on, in terms of moving it back and forwards, or?
Well, when you've got to fit the Chaff Decks, you have to, because you're on this sliding rail, this chopper, you slide it back, and there's brackets in the kit that clamp onto the sides. They have to go in the position, there's holes already there for it, so those brackets go on. The chopper then just sits nicely back against those stoppers. It's about 430 mil, but that's predetermined by the kit that comes with it. And you've then got to reconnect your wires. There's some extension looms there in the kit for both the, I think it's a spinner speed, and the chopper is closed. So there's a sensor for the proximity sensor on the other side that tells you that the chopper is in fact closed. You're just tricking the computer. You've just moved that little sensor from the closed position up to the new bracket and thinks it's closed when in fact it's open enough to allow the Chaff Deck. But there is a possibility of crossing those wires over. I have heard of guys having them crossed over, and they were getting no spinner speed, and they were getting false readings from the door in the cab. And if you swap those wires back over, the door thinks it's shut and the spinners will work.
So it's a good tip. If you're getting false readings, you may need to swap the wires.
You may need to swap the wires. So we may need to have I'm not sure how that happened, but there may need to be a way that can't be plugged in
the wrong way.
So that the extension looms somehow need to be that they can only go on one wire. You know, the speed sensor wires, the speed sensor wire, and the door shut wire is, I don't know. Apparently there was, I know one machine had them swapped over. When they swapped them back, all of a sudden everything worked. So,
okay.